My brother texted, "Share your card details. Dad says you're paying for our Christmas trip." I replied, "No way I'm not." The next morning, Mom messaged, "Stop overreacting. I've already booked it using your account." That night, I sent screenshots to the whole family group. By morning, my phone was blowing up with 18 missed calls. It was extremely strange. My brother Derek and I don't text each other unless something's wrong or unless someone in the family needs something from me, which, let's be honest, is usually the same thing. So, when I saw his name light up my phone at almost midnight, I already had that sinking feeling. "Send me your card info," Dad says. "You'll cover our Christmas trip." I remember just staring at the message for a few seconds. Not shocked exactly, just frozen like my brain was trying to make sense of what it was reading. I blinked and read it again. Same words. No. Hey, no. How are you? No context. Just a demand that somehow felt like a command. I replied, "No, I won't." He didn't respond. Not a single word. No follow-up. No attempt to argue. It was like I'd shut down the whole conversation with just 4 words. But that silence, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the moment before something else dropped. The next morning at 7:06 a.m., my mom sent a message. "Don't be dramatic. I already used your account to book it." That's when I felt it. That tight pressure in my chest. Not panic exactly, but something colder. My hands were shaking, but I still opened my banking app. Gone. Over $3,000. The transactions were right there. United Airlines Airbnb in Aspen. SUV rental through Hertz. The whole trip just booked, paid in full, all under my account. They didn't even bother to ask, no warning, no discussion. Just decided among themselves that I'd pay for a luxury Christmas trip I didn't even know about. I didn't respond to the text. I didn't call. I didn't scream. I just sat there for a long time scrolling through the charges, feeling this kind of numbness spreading through me. Then something clicked. I opened my messages, took screenshots of everything. Derek's text, Mom's the booking confirmations that had been forwarded to me by mistake. I even screenshotted the account balance before and after. And at exactly 9:01 that night, I dropped every screenshot into the family group chat. No explanation, no emojis, no passive-aggressive thoughts, just cold, silent proof. Then I muted the chat, turned off notifications, and went to bed. By the time I woke up the next morning, I had 18 missed calls. That Derek 5 times. Even my Aunt Stacy called, and I hadn't heard her voice in nearly a decade. I didn't answer a single one. Later that day, Derek tried texting again. Something short like, "You need to chill." But I'd already deleted the entire thread. They thought they could just take what they wanted from me. So, I decided to take something back. But I wasn't going to scream, beg, or argue. I was going to be calm, controlled. I was going to let them sit with it. That was the day everything changed. And I wasn't done yet. After I sent the screenshots, I went silent. No dramatic exit, no rant, no "you'll regret this." Just silence. That's what messed with them the most. Because in our family, I was always the one who calmed things down, smoothed things over, played middleman. Not this time. I didn't answer calls. I didn't return texts. I didn't even open the family group chat. Just let the little notification bubble keep counting up. That Sunday came and went without me at the table. My seat was always next to Dad across from Derek, and they always saved it for me like some cute tradition. I pictured them doing it that Sunday, too, just in case I changed my mind. I didn't. Monday morning, I got a long email from Dad with the subject. "Let's be rational." The whole thing was exactly what you'd expect. That Derek's had a hard year. That we should support each other. That I was in a better position than most right now. And it was time to give back. It ended with something about how family means sometimes doing things we don't want to do. I archived it without responding. Wednesday afternoon, Mom showed up at my building. She didn't even text first. I only knew she was there because I saw her face on the security camera when the intercom buzzed. She stood at the gate for over 15 minutes calling and texting. I sat on the couch and watched the screen. Didn't move. Thursday, I logged into my bank, disputed every transaction related to the trip, and shut the card down completely. Then I opened a new account at a different bank and moved every last cent. 2 days later, I got alerts, refunds processed, flights canceled, the Airbnb reservation gone, car rental reversed. I didn't even feel satisfaction. Not the kind you expect. It was more like flipping a switch off in your brain and watching everything go dark. That's when the group chat lit up like wildfire. "Mom, this is ridiculous. It was one trip. Get over it. Dad, you've made your point, but freezing the account. Really? Derek. Well, is wow. Then him again. You're not punishing us. You're embarrassing yourself. I waited a full day, then sent a single message. Do not contact me unless it's to return what you took. Nothing else. Christmas came fast. I didn't decorate. I didn't even buy gifts. On Christmas Eve, I drove 2 hours north and checked into a little cabin I found online last minute. 1 bedroom, firewood included, no Wi-Fi, no neighbors. That night, I cooked pasta on the tiny stove, poured a glass of wine, and watched the snow fall through the frosted window. It was the quietest night I'd had in years. Christmas morning, my phone had 0 new messages. Not one. It should have felt cold, but it didn't. It felt clean. I stayed up there through New Year's. By the time I came back to the city, I decided to let things stay quiet indefinitely. I wasn't going to chase after people who had no problem stealing from me. But they weren't done. On January 3rd, I came back from the grocery store and noticed something weird. My parking spot was empty. I live in a secure building. Only tenants have access to the garage. My car was always there. I thought maybe it was towed or moved for maintenance. I checked with the front desk. Nothing. Then I opened my text. There was a message from Derek. No apology, no warning, just a photo of my spare key in his hand and my car in the background. Since you bailed on Christmas, I'm treating myself to a little drive. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. He'd taken my car. He knew exactly what he was due. I didn't respond to Derek's message. I just stared at the screen, completely frozen. I thought maybe it was a joke. A bad one, sure, but something he'd undo in a few minutes when he brought the car back. Maybe he'd just driven around the block, tried to get a reaction out of me. But the hours passed. I checked the garage again around 9 p.m. Still empty. No sign of the car. I texted once, bring it back tonight, and left it at that. No response. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the buzz of a new message. I already knew it was from him. I opened it. I saw the photo. My car, crumpled against a light pole. The front end was folded in, the windshield fractured like a spider web, airbags limp and deflated, debris scattered on the street. The caption below it read, "Had a little accident. I'm fine. Your car's not." My stomach sank. I didn't feel anger, just a strange, numb panic. I called him once. No answer. Then I called Mom. She picked up on the 3rd ring, already aware. She said he was in the hospital, broken arm, bruised ribs, mild concussion. Lucky, she called it. Said he'd lost control on a wet road, took a turn too fast. I didn't bother changing out of my pajamas. Grabbed my boyfriend's keys. Thank God he'd left his car while he was out of town, and drove to the hospital. When I got there, Derek was propped up in a hospital bed. Munching vending machine crackers like this was just a minor inconvenience. Arm in a cast, scratches on his cheek, but otherwise untouched by the chaos he'd caused. I stood in the doorway, staring. He looked at me with this odd half-smile, like he expected a hug or a quip. I didn't speak for a solid 30 seconds. Then I asked the only question I could muster. Why the hell did you take my car? He shrugged. You weren't using it, he said, and I just needed to get out. Then, the kicker. It's not like I meant to crash it. I turned and walked out. Mom followed me into the hall, talking fast about how it was just a mistake, how boys do dumb things, how I should be grateful he was okay. I cut her off. I'm done, I said. You and Dad can do what you want, but this isn't family. This is theft, entitlement, and now destruction. Then I left. The next few days were strange. I went to work, came home, kept to myself. Didn't tell friends, didn't mention it to my boyfriend during our FaceTime calls. I couldn't explain the feeling of having my brother wreck my car and act like it was nothing while my parents expected me to shrug it off. Then, out of nowhere, Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. Hours later, I listened. He didn't ask for anything, just apologized. No excuses about Derek being young or stressed. He said they'd been wrong, let things slide too long, treated me like a backup plan instead of a daughter. Then he said something that hit hard. You don't owe us anything. We owe you. We're going to fix this, not ask you to fix it for us. I didn't call back that night, but for the first time in weeks, I breathed easier. 2 days later, I found a heavy box outside my door. No return address, just my name in Dad's unmistakable handwriting. Inside was a thick manila folder with insurance papers and forms, all in Derek's name. A claim for the car, a reimbursement schedule, Payment plan details. He'd gone through his employer's HR for a hardship fund to cover the damages. Real steps, not empty promises. Beneath it was a typed letter, 3 pages, single-spaced, on Dad's old typewriter. He used to tinker with it when I was a kid, typing bad poems or grocery lists just to hear the keys clack. In it, he owned up to everything. How they justified taking my money because it was for family. How they'd assumed I'd understand. He said watching me pull away made him see how badly they'd messed up. Near the end, he wrote, "We thought you'd always bounce back because you always did. But you shouldn't have had to. You're not our backup plan. You're our daughter." I don't cry easily, but that made me pause. A few days later, Mom texted. One sentence. "Let's have dinner. Just us." I almost ignored it, but the simplicity piqued my curiosity. I agreed. We met at a quiet spot near my apartment. I braced for another lecture on forgiveness, but it never came. Derek was there, arm in a sling, looking like he hadn't slept. He barely spoke. I didn't either. The vibe was different, quiet, almost sheepish, like everyone had run out of excuses. Dinner wasn't warm or fuzzy, no hugs or laughs, but it was calm. For once, no one expected anything from me. As we left, Dad handed me an envelope from his coat pocket. Inside was a check. The amount made my stomach flip, enough for a solid used car, maybe even a down payment on something new. "It's from your mother and me," he said. "We sold some things. You don't owe us anything. This is us trying to prove it." I didn't say thank you, just nodded. That night, Derek showed up at my apartment. No heads up, just a knock. He handed me a crumpled note and a plastic bag of snacks, my favorite chips, cheap candy, a bottle of lemon soda we loved as kids. The note was messy but real. He apologized, no excuses, no blame shifting. Said he missed having a sister and hoped I'd stop hating him someday. He didn't linger, just left. That night, for the first time in months, I didn't feel like my life was teetering on a knife's edge. I wasn't ready to trust them fully, but something had shifted. The next week was quiet, too quiet. Then, Thursday morning, I stopped for gas before work. My card declined. Odd, but not alarming. I checked my banking app. 3 transactions from that morning, each over $180. A resort, a luxury property in California, a full spa package. All on my new account, the one only 3 people knew about. Me, my bank manager, and Mom. I'd closed the old account, moved my money, started fresh. But months earlier, when I was too trusting, I'd shared the login with her just in case. Apparently, she still had it. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. It wasn't just the money. It was the timing, the note, the dinner, the apologies. It felt like a setup. Then I called the resort to ask who made the booking. That's when it got worse. The reservation wasn't under Mom's name. It was under Derek's girlfriend's. I didn't yell or scream. I just sat in my kitchen, banking app open, resort email on my laptop, heart pounding like it might break through my chest. 3 transactions over $600. Spa package, ocean view suite, 2 guests. Charged to my account under Samantha Holland, Derek's girlfriend. I hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving, and even then, she barely spoke beyond vague promises to hang out. But she used my money like it was hers. Only my mom had the login to this new account, opened quietly after a Christmas theft. I hadn't told anyone else, not even my boyfriend. It was supposed to be safe. I drove to my parents' house. 22 minutes of silent fury. Mom acted casual, like I'd shown up for brunch. When I confronted her, she admitted she'd shared my bank login with Samantha a while ago, assuming I'd changed it. Her excuse? She thought I'd want to do something nice for Derek. I laughed, not out of humor, but because it was absurd. Dad walked in, saw my face, and asked Mom if it was true. She repeated, "It was just once." I told them I'd frozen the account, filed a bank report, and contacted the resort. Then I said, "Cross another line, and I'll file charges. I don't care if it ruins the family." I left, ignoring Mom's apologetic texts and Derek's weak excuse that Samantha didn't know it wasn't my money. 4 days later, a man showed up at my work, soaked from rain, holding a folder. It was Derek. Inside the folder was a wire confirmation, $3,000 from his account to mine. He said, "I'm done protecting them," and walked out. I felt relief, anger, and some closure. 2 days later, Dad texted, wanting to talk. We met at a park. He admitted they'd messed up, leaning on me because I always caught them, never considering the cost to me. He gave me an envelope with a check, Small but meaningful, memoed, vacation fund. Yours. No guilt. That night, I told my boyfriend everything. He asked if I wanted to get away. I said yes. Mom texted about a family trip to Oregon, fully paid on their card. We went. Quiet cabins, rainy mornings, no transactional talks, just real moments. Derek apologized, admitting he thought I'd always bail them out. He said he'd earn my trust back. I forgave him there. I reopened an old account with tight controls for emergencies, not obligation. They invited us to a Christmas trip in Colorado, fully paid, no surprises. I said yes, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. A month later, Mom called, breathless. They'd set up a trust account for me and Derek, funded by Dad selling part of his business. They were paying off debts, downsizing, and ensuring I'd never be their safety net again. Mom said, "It's your turn to just be the daughter." Derek called too. He'd left Samantha, tired of her entitlement, and was starting trade school. The Colorado trip is booked. Cabin, snow, fireplace, my boyfriend invited, all paid for. Dad said, "We want to end this year better than it started." The year began with theft. It ends with peace, a real family, and me bringing just my suitcase. I'm finally okay with that.